think that under your leadership, this House must be seen to respect its own constitution, its own decisions. I have challenges each time a minute to a debate. They bring a bill, whether it's for concurrence or it's originating from this House. Even if you are going to stamp something, you must read it and know exactly what you have stamped. I think when people talk about in the spirit of concurrence, in the spirit of collaboration, with all due respect, we are copying the American model. The purpose of bicameral is that if one is sleep in one chambers, the other chamber may identify it. We do no harm, nor do we do favor by having the benefit of having a bill. But some people say it is straightforward. It is straightforward for those who have the benefit of having copies and they have gone through it and the fact that there is nothing injurious. But not for people like us who had just seen it, even before you read the headings, we are asked to discuss. So, why I say I have difficulty is that you have given a ruling just 2 weeks ago. The following week, the rule was violated. Today again, we are faced with the same challenge. What happened to your directive that we should have at least 2 days? 2 days is now reduced to 2 minutes. For me, I'm a team player. But if I see upside, may I not score with the hand of God according to Maradona. I think it is important that lawmaking is done with all seriousness, line by line, page by page, that the entire overall benefit is clear to all of us. I have nothing whatsoever.
Thank you very much.
I believe that our brothers in the House of Rep, they've done a thorough job.
Thank you.
But even if we were just to do proofreading, it merits it. So that when we are done, all of us start to defend it.
Your message is gotten.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, in a minute, the Deputy Whip of the Senate will actually respond on behalf of the leadership to the critical issue raised by distinguished Senator Abdullahi Yahaya. But let me remind all of us that the reason we stepped down further consideration of this bill was for us to be able to seek clarification with respect to the critical observation that the Supreme Court had earlier given a judgment. And we needed to be sure that that judgment covered the subject matter that this bill was trying to address. And we stepped it down. With respect to the observation by His Excellency, distinguished Senator Adams Aliyu Oshiomhole, let me say that much as I will always agree with him that the business of lawmaking should be taken very seriously, I do not agree with his observation on this bill because copies of this bill were given out to distinguished senators, including His Excellency Senator Oshiomhole, 3 weeks ago, when in the middle of our consideration, we decided to step down this bill. So as a matter of fact, I believe that the fact that we had to recirculate copies of this bill again today itself was an indulgence, because we would have expected, that once the other paper was published last night, I laid the soft copy, people could have come with copies of their own bill. But because we knew that might not happen, that's why we still ensure that the Secretariat will recirculate copies of this bill. So my point is, distinguished Senator Oshiomhole had 3 weeks to go through the contents of this bill. It wasn't that they were just given 2 minutes ago. But
thank you.
Like I said, sir, I
thank you very much for this elaborate explanation.
Yes.
The fact remains that,
Permit me to lead the debate on these two important bills from the House of Representatives for the concurrence of the Senate. One, the Central Gaming Bill 2025 HB 2062. This bill seeks to repeal the National Lottery Act number 7 of 2005 and the National Lottery Amendment Act number 6 of 2017, and to enact the Central Gaming Bill to regulate the operation and business of all forms of online and remote gaming across the geographical boundaries of the federating units and beyond the international boundaries of Nigeria, as well as to provide for the conduct of gaming in the Federal Capital Territory and enhance revenue generation for the Federation. 2, the Chartered Institute of Capital Market Registrars Bill 2025 HB 1460. This bill seeks to establish the Chartered Institute of Capital Market Registrars in order to ensure professionalism in the system and to provide for matters related therewith. Mr. President and most respected colleagues, these bills are straightforward and have gone through the necessary legislative process in the House of Representatives. I therefore urge you all to support the second reading of these bills as we refer them to the Committee of the Whole for clause-by-clause consideration. I thank you, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues.
Colleagues, I am Yahya Abdullahi representing Kebbi North. The first bill on the Central Gaming Bill in particular, I recall that I think about a month or so ago, a bill of this nature came before this Senate, and it was deferred for further legislative action. Because of the inconsistency that it has with the Supreme Court ruling that takes the matter of gaming, lottery, and other things to be issues in the exclusive in the legislative list that allows only the states and local government to handle this particular matter. And therefore, it was stepped down for further reconsideration. I don't know whether this reconsideration has taken place and whether the committee that is supposed to go through the bill from this particular bill from the House has done its work. And if it has done its work, what are the results of that work so that we don't go in a direction that is contrary to the Constitution of this country that allows the judiciary to interpret the Constitution and the laws that are passed by the chambers of this National Assembly. I just want this clarification, from the leader or from
Senator
whoever is
Osita.
aware of the situation. Thank you, sir.
Osita, you want to speak?
But in the absence of that, Mr. President, I would like to say...
I just felt maybe if you have any, then leader can answer both.
Yes, I just wanted the leader to answer before I can make my observation.
Leader.
My name is Senator Osita Ezunaso. I represent Imo West. My observation is very simple. The last time we had issues with this bill, it was later resolved to the extent that most of our colleagues didn't understand what they were talking about. Some people thought maybe the House of Representatives was going against the Supreme Court judgment. But we'll let us explain everything. That they wasn't going against the Supreme Court judgment. The only lacuna which people didn't understand is that when the Supreme Court gave the judgment, they didn't talk about the digital aspect of it. So the same way the Investment and Securities Act that we passed in this chamber that have been assented to have given SEC the powers to regulate crypto, which is an online thing. That is what this bill is seeking, for them to allow them to regulate gaming online, e-gaming, because no state can have control of e-gaming. So I think, Mr. President, we don't need to belabor this matter. We should just concur in the spirit of reciprocity and move ahead, because this thing has been here for a long time. I so second or move, Mr. President.
Senator Oshiomhole. And then it was put on hold to make further clarification. So I agree with you on that. And also, you've taken time to make clarification with respect to the bill. The controversy surrounding it has been resolved because further consultation has been made, and it is now having a clean bill of health to get it continued. On this note, I put the question. Okay. Because everybody is convinced now.
I'm Senator Peter Nwebonyi Onyekachi. I represent the good people of Ebonyi Senatorial Zone. Mr. President, I can remember vividly when this bill was first brought up, a lot of controversies came up regarding whether we're encroaching on the powers of the State Assembly, to make laws within the items within their domain. But Mr. President, as a lawyer, I've made my personal research, and I can tell you with legal authority that the Supreme Court judgment was confined on the regulation of gaming only on those that has to do with retail and land-based operations. It has nothing to do with online gaming, which bill, seeks to address. And moreover, Mr. President, the online gaming falls within the cyberspace, which is within the sole jurisdiction of the federal government. So the state government cannot make law on areas that has to do with the cyberspace of the federation. So with this and more, Mr. President, I urge my colleagues to support this bill because it's not in any way encroaching on the powers of the State Assembly to make laws, as this has to do with online gaming, which was not contemplated in the year 2008 when this matter was actually filed in court. I so second this motion, this bill. Thank you, sir.
Bill to repeal the National Lottery Act number 7 of 2005 and the National Lottery Amendment Act number 6 of 2017, and to enact the Central Gaming Bill to regulate the operation and business of all forms of online and remote gaming across the geographical boundaries of the federating units and beyond the borders of Nigeria, provide for the conduct of gaming in the Federal Capital Territory, and enhance revenue generation for the Federation, and for related matters 2025, HB 2062, second reading taken. A bill for that to establish Chartered Institute of Capital Markets Registrars to ensure professionalism in the system, and for related matters 2025, HB 1460, second reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.